Welcome to Life with Holan and Cassy podcast. We're just talking about how the more podcasts we do, you'll notice that we talk a lot about faith because faith is life. Because we're talking about life.
It's the foundations for our life, essentially.
It's the foundations for our life, our relationship with Christ, and I like talking about it. And you know, in another episode, we brought up the topic of music. We talked about how, you know, media that we consume. We talk about social media, setting those boundaries, right? But music is a huge influence on our walk with Christ, our spiritual walk, and choosing. And you know, we'll be real, right? I listen to secular music. You listen to secular music?
I do.
Do you listen to Christian music?
Yeah.
I do sometimes. And so we're very different. I feel like, Cassy, you really grew up knowing, like, deep into the Christian music scene. Like, I would know the songs, but I wouldn't know who the artists are, right? And then not only do you know the artists, sometimes it's like, wow, you follow them like how people actually follow secular music or celebrities. You know their life, their spouse, their family, what's going on. So you are truly into the Christian music scene. Do you want to go start there, or do you want to talk about just your taste in music, both secular and Christian, favorite artists growing up leading to this point?
Yeah, maybe we'll just start kind of at the beginning and kind of where the involvement came in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was born into a Christian household, and, you know, like, my parents were very strict on what I listened to, what I watched, and read, all of those things, right? Who I was around. And, you know, part of that, you know, so the music specifically. So now, like, I'm just going to jump. So I have a hard time with music, like what I listen to, because I think that, you know, having that restriction, and then being around a lot of people who listened to a lot of secular music, you know, like certain family members, like if we're just going out, right? And it's like, you know, when you're with family, you know, you don't want to cut yourself off from family unless they're really toxic, right? Yeah. But you don't have that, like, you just, you know, they're your family. And so I would go out with, you know, family members, and they, you know, listen to secular music. And so that's how I kind of had my exposures. So it would be a lot of Christian music, you know, 90s Christian music. Like examples. Early 90s. So it was like a lot of Stephen Curtis Chapman, Michael W. Smith, Point of Grace. Like there's like a whole lot. And the list is fairly long. And I, you know, that was my world. Like, that's what I grew up with. And, you know, and then some Hawaiian music, you know, because you can't avoid that living in Hawaii. you can. I guess you could, but but then there's music in the stores. You go to a party, right?
Like we would know Hawaiian music. People from outside of Hawaii might not know as much, right?
And so we just kind of grew up around it. And it wasn't, and it was more of the songs that were, you know, sung in Hawaiian, that were more about the land and the culture, not some of the music that has, like, really, I don't know, certain aspects of it. But that's where I grew up. And then slowly it was like, oh, I kind of like this genre. Like, I love punk, you know, punk rock. I like pop.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you. My mind is just going to the Brothers song. Was it Hawaii 78 or something? Where it goes, Umo.
Yeah, like, you go to a baseball game and that's what they're playing.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's some, you know, games that we went to, and that's what they were playing, you know? And so it was like, you can't avoid it unless you're going to put on some noise canceling earphones, which we didn't have back then. But yeah.
Well, just a plug. If you like Brothers and Somewhere Over the Rainbow, check out his other songs. He was very politically active in terms of Hawaiian independence. And it really teaches you a little bit more about Hawaii than just the island or rainbows. It really is about the people and the culture. So, but you were talking about punk rock and alternative. So what was your favorite punk rock?
Well, it's hard. Well, so
or alternative, or I guess rock.
Well, so then you kind of bleed into the 2000s, right? You got Reliant K, you got Stellar Cart. Even at one point in time, we always talk about, like, me and my friends, we joke about this, Plus One. Plus One was kind of like the NSYNC Backstreet Boys in the Christian world. Like, they'd had those vibes. And it's actually really funny. Like, so if you guys, like, go look it up, Plus One.
But you didn't listen to any secular type?
No, not really. I didn't have there were no other albums or things.
But you knew secular music. When did that happen?
So through this is so bad, but it's not so bad. It's just, this is real. And, in church. So a lot of...
From church, you learned. So at home, you had Christian music.
Yes.
And at church, that's where you got the secular music. It's like, oh, you didn't just sneak it in like from somewhere. It was like, it was in the church.
Well, no. So part of it was church, was with other church kids.
Uh-huh.
And that, or like family.
Yeah.
Like you go to grandma's house and hear, what is grandma, like what kind of CDs does grandma have? Well, Kelly Clarkson and, I don't know, a bunch of other, like she
radio,
had
maybe
Backstreet Boys. Yeah. And then whatever was on the radio when I was with my other family members who don't listen to Christian music. And so that's where I heard the songs. And then I think that's where I kind of got into a phase, because then, my cousin was really into like Green Day or like other things. And I think then it started kind of like that emo phase, right?
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, like I love this style of music. Like it hits a little different,
Yeah.
And was really hard. Nowadays you have the internet, but back then it was just a little bit harder, and probably because I was younger, it was harder to look for songs that were like the secular songs.
I think like kind of production value.
That, yeah. So it's kind of like, I like this sound, but what is the Christian equivalent of that?
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of things, like we had KJ52, we had 1,000 Foot Crutch. We, a lot of those bands influenced, like for me and my sister, like we would just be like, oh yeah, Family Force 5 was another big one for us, and just a bunch more. We went to a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
Christian concerts.
Like which ones?
We saw Rachel Lampa. We saw, I think in that one, Stephen Curtis Chapman was in that same concert. We saw the Katinas. We saw Nicole C. Mullen. Geez, like there's a lot. I think my first concert was a Tammy Trent concert.
Switchfoot. You went to
Switchfoot, yeah. We saw Switchfoot. We saw Reliant K. I believe Red was there at that concert. And so that one we traveled for. That one was in Texas, and we just happened to be there. Skillet, that was like the recent one I got to go with you.
Yeah.
So
Phil Wickham.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So there's a lot. Like I have a binder.
Was there any secular concerts? I think you went to with your cousin. Isn't there one?
Oh, we did like the Cheetah Girls.
Cheetah Girls.
Okay, this was for her birthday. And yeah, so we did the whole Cheetah Girls thing because, the movie was really big and popular back then.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I went to that Cheetah Girls concert.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And I guess that's the other exposure to secular music is through shows.
Yeah.
So the Disney Channel. I grew up on Disney Channel.
You were like really into Jonas Brothers.
Yeah. And Jesse McCartney.
Yeah.
which I unfollowed.
Oh no.
I did. It was a conviction.
I see.
So, anyway, and so fast forward to today, I'm starting to sort out some of that music because I'm learning, and I've done this a couple of times in my life, maybe more than a couple of times, where, building my playlist, either on my iPod or my phone or whatever, where I would have secular songs, and then I would be like so convicted. So then I would delete them, and then I would just stick to what my worship songs and my other like Christian music. And then I would put them back on, then I would take them back off. And I'm at the point again where like I'm starting to filter again. And nowadays there's a lot of new up and coming artists, Christian artists, who are really deeply rooted in their faith, and they're kind of reviving some of those old sounds.
Yes.
Which I really appreciate. And it's in a modern way where it just sounds really good.
I love the production value now, because I don't know. I could share my journey, I guess.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because I didn't grow up around Christian music besides what was going on at the church. And this is 90s, right? I am a millennial.
Yes.
And so a lot of the sounds that I grew up with, well, granted, like on my mother's side, Filipino family. So karaoke is a must. Back then, every Filipino family that I knew of had a karaoke machine. And these were not like the karaoke machines that you have nowadays. These are the laser disc, those huge discs, right? And it's like, wow. And so, there are some rock ballads that they sing, some R&B, and so culturally, I'm not sure what it is, or it could have just been the 90s and the 2000s. Yeah. Like, I don't know if hip hop and R&B was a huge genre, but that's kind of where, if you're going to go through rock or hip hop, like that's where I gravitated towards. So it's kind of funny because like I don't have, the fit. I don't, and there was a period of time, which I'll get to, where I just stopped music altogether. But I know with my aunt's CDs, you have the Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Spice Girls, and for me, I had NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. So I also had pop, right? I did love listening to Mariah Carey, but I think the peak of middle school, we were talking about this. I feel like your middle school and your high school determines what your real, like your taste in music. Like in your middle school and high school, what was your taste in music?
A lot of punk rock.
A lot of punk rock. For me, it was a lot of hip hop, which actually, I would say it doesn't determine taste in music, because now I don't listen. When I listen to some of the older 90s production rap, I like some of them. They're classics they can rewatch. And some of them are like, man, the lyrics, what am I listening to? And some of this production is like really 90s. So for me, like definitely my favorite artist was Tupac. And I grew up in the piracy age. I don't know if that's allowed on YouTube to talk about it. But, Napster came out when I was in middle school. But shortly after, you have other things like Morpheus, LimeWire, BearShare, FrostWire, a lot of different ways of getting music, right? And this was the era of burning CDs. Do you remember burning CDs?
Yes.
Burning CDs. So there was the people that, purchased, right? You either purchase CDs, you can extract those files, or you buy it from iTunes. And then there was people like me. Obviously, I'm a middle schooler, high schooler, right? Just downloading, pirating movies, music. So basically, So, and because you have everything and access to anything and everything, it's whatever's on the radio, You can find a lot of cool remixes. And so it was a mix of some hip hop. I had some, one of the, whatever was popular in terms of like rock, right? And that was kind of, I wish I had my playlist. Fast forward, I was going through some searching in my life. And I had that conviction of like, you need to delete all the songs that you downloaded. One, because it was pirated. And two, it wasn't serving me very well. And that was kind of, and then I kind of was like, oh, and then I have to go buy some Christian CDs. And still, this was still in mid 2000s, and you still, those CDs, they are mid 2000s. And it was interesting because, you know, Christian rap was like, at the time. So it was basically a lot of, well, I don't know what you call it, guitar, rock, I guess. You know, so that's kind of where I was. So millennial, you got Linkin Park, right? Blink 182. In terms of secular music, you know, hip hop, you got like Outkast, you got like Mobb Deep, you got Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, right? 50 Cent was big. Kanye West, which was funny about Kanye West is Kanye West wasn't really big when I was in high school. I graduated 2005. I remember when what was the first? Graduation is not the first, but I remember when Late Registration first came out. And I think that was the first one. Might not have been. But I remember when there was a few songs that came out, and I was like, oh, this is very different. When Kanye West first came out, he was featured on Slow Jams with Twista, and then he also had Through the Wire. When I saw that music video, music videos were huge back then.
Music videos.
Like I would fall asleep with music videos playing on the TV, whether it's VH1 or MTV. So that also kind of influenced that. And just kind of watching that. So, you know, I like some of his songs, definitely had them. And he produced a lot of songs. But it wasn't only till recently where it was like, there was a gap. And so I listened from the first Kanye album to what you call 808s and Heartbreak. You're smiling because you listen to that. You're like, what is this?
Okay, so we went through a whole like Kanye phase. Okay, so where Holan had to show me like the different albums because you know, while we're on a road trip, what are we going to do for 8 hours?
We could
or
do a
6
lot of
hours.
things.
You know, we could do a lot of things.
But we decided to go through all the albums.
Yep.
We skipped some songs. But definitely at the time, I think there was 9 or 10 albums. We went all the way to Donda. So so definitely there's Late Registration, Graduation. Why can't I forget? College Dropout is the first album. So College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, and there was 808 and Heartbreak, I think is the fourth one.
I don't know.
And that's actually when I stopped listening to Kanye West. That was the same time I deleted all my thing. And then after that, I kind of was not, I would just kind of listen to whatever was playing. Like, I think there was a weird phase. There wasn't no Spotify. There was no things. I would play. I just really felt convicted just to change what I'm listening to. Whether some people just say, hey, let's just listen to positive music, which there is in hip hop. There's conscious rap, right? A lot of the old Tupac songs, those are conscious rap, but they're uplifting, but they also talk about urban living, basically.
Like it's real.
Yeah, so
right?
it's uplifting, but it's kind of sad at the same time. So really, what is uplifting music?
Yeah.
And then when you look at late 90s to early 2000s, that was the bling era. And so that was the kind of like clubbing, party, everything, you know, sex, drugs, and alcohol, basically. And it was weird stuff back then, man. Like it's completely like we still have that now, but
still
that
weird.
was like everything. That was like everything. You go to a party with like all these little kids, and that's what they're playing, you know. And it's just like, then it started getting weird in the 2000s. You have like songs like "I'm in Love with a Stripper" and all of these kind of stuff. Like we watched them just to like, look, we actually listened to the Thong Song by Cisco. That was like, I think early 2000s, late 90s, maybe 99. Like it's crazy. The kind of things like it's just funny.
Well, what's funny about it is how those songs came about. So it wasn't that we were just like, you know, seeing these songs, or like we were actually these like short documentaries.
I love watching documentaries on music and hip hop. Like, you want to share why it became that way?
No, it was just
short.
That's why it's funny. It's because it's not just
song.
Like
it's the behind the music. Behind the music of how did they create the Thong Song.
Yeah, and that's what's funny about it. And you're like, what?
But then also, I just going to have an excerpt of this. Like, there's no time to go over the evolution of hip hop. But what's interesting is it was an overcorrection, because gangster rap was like the top like genre, right? That's where you had the first like multi-platinum albums, right? And you have, you know, Dr. Dre, NWA, you have Tupac, you have Biggie. And just as tidbit is, after they were murdered, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like the industry was like, we need to correct. There's overcorrection. Like, let's stop talking about violence and gangster rap, and let's go move to a new era of like partying it up, you know? And that was the Bad Boys P. Diddy era, I guess, which is, now we look back, we're like, oh my gosh, P. Diddy. But then we live in the alternative kind of rap, you know, more of anybody and everybody, regardless of race, sexual orientation. You can talk freely about your faith, which people in the 90s, there was people that they spoke freely on what, you know, because that's what rap is. You can talk about anything. It didn't have to be about just living in the inner city, you know. It could be, you know, there was rap where people talked about their faith. There was a lot of people that talked about Islam, Christianity, or just even just searching.
Yeah. There's still like, there's this one, and a friend shared it with me, and I still, till this, like, I've been thinking about this for so long, because there was one rap artist who would rap the Bible. You know, there's a lot of songs that you know, like we sing at church or whatever that reference the Bible, but he straight up took the verses from the Bible, and it was just, you know, he was just doing those lyrics and adding a few things in there. And I don't think he ever had an album. It was more of just an EP, and I can't remember who that artist was. And because, like, you know, it was just one of those things that it was probably on my mom's computer. That's where it's lived, and it's no longer available to me. So
I like to bring that up because I used to go on forums or subreddits where people were like, you know, all these people talking about, you know, Christianity, they think like it's a recent thing. But you look like Tupac, you know, rapped about, you know, kind of searching for his beliefs. You know, there are songs, and I know this because in the 2000s, when you're just looking for music, you want to see anything and everything, right? Like DMX released something about, you know, his faith, and that was like 2000s, not even 2020s, you know. I remember when Coolio's Gangster's Paradise, like, it was really popular, and then that was like when I was a child, so I only rediscovered it like later on in the late 90s, early 2000s, and people would listen to that, and people that are familiar, like, what is that, some Christian rap? Because you know, it sounds like Psalm 23, you know. But there you know, it with culture wise, certain artists grew up in a church culture,
right?
It's a part of their culture, so you see some of that. Some of them you know, are Christians, and some of them maybe are just still questioning their faith, but it was still part of their upbringing. So fast forward to getting back to, because there was a period of time where I just kind of I met you. You basically was like, grew up with just, with that boundaries, and I was okay. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm just gonna go listen to Christian radio stations and kind of go over, kind of listen to that. I remember moving to Vegas. They have a lot of Christian radio stations, which I was surprised. I'm like, we're in Vegas. I think they have more Christian radio stations in Vegas than they do in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But then I do get confused because there was one station I thought it was a Christian radio station, ended up being country. Because I was like, oh, this is good. And then later on, I was like, what are they talking about? So, but then I started getting back into listening to, trying to go back. But the thing that got me back into listening to secular hip hop was like when Kanye West announced, or it was like way after. I was like, he released an album, this Jesus is King album. And I said, I got to listen to this just out of curiosity. And I was like, it's different. It's all right. And it's like, but it's kind of bold. The kind of topic is like really restricted. No, another thing about hip hop is they swear a lot. And then for him to have an album that has no swearing, which by the way, 808s and Heartbreak has no swearing in it as well. And so it doesn't have that explicit label, right? But Jesus is King was like, it definitely is something that was very controversial when it came out. But it was something that was, what do you think about it?
I thought,
because there's a difference between Donda and Jesus is King. Do you remember?
Right. Yeah. And I think just Kanye as an artist, except for that 808 and Heartbreaks, like I can't do it. But
well, let's hear what you thought about 808s and Heartbreak, because it has a lot of the auto tune. It's very poppy. It's very like emo, I guess, kind of not emo, but very emotional and just.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
there was like one very poppy one where you're like, oh my gosh, it sounds like a boy band kind of. What in the world?
I did, yeah. I don't totally remember that scenario, but all I remember thinking is just like, wow, like this is so different, like was Kanye okay? Like
no, he was not okay during that time.
So obviously, and then I learned, what was happening during this time, and then realized, not okay. It was just so out of, I feel like, his element, or just, I don't know. It just sounded not Kanye. Like maybe somebody else might have been able to. I think
that's also being about experimental. Like Kanye is very experimental with music, which is also brings up to Jesus is King, because it's a very different sound. Yeah. It doesn't even sound finished, but it definitely is new grounds and very experimental, because it doesn't sound secular. Definitely did not sound like the Christian music at the time. Right. So it was like, this is new. Yeah. It's not polished, but it's different, which is creative. So,
which is something that I feel like, and I think at the time, I think you over listened to it. Yeah. Because then I started getting tired of it. But, it would be something that, like I would play in the house, cleaning up the house or something, like just as like that background music where I know it would be something that's, the message would be uplifting, or more targeted, I guess. And it was different. And it's because like in Christian music, like there's less, I would say, of those experimental types.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just kind of copy something, and it's kind of like 5 years or 10 years too late.
And so no shade to this artist, but there's one artist who really came up really fast and was very well known across, a lot of platforms, and he toured a lot, and his music kind of became the staple for
Christian music,
other music,
Christian rap music.
No, just Christian music, like
are you talking
like
about
worship
hip-hop?
Worship music.
Oh yeah, are you talking about like Michael W. Smith or Chris Tomlin or something?
Chris Tomlin. So there's no, so there's no shade to this.
I mean, there's no shade. Everybody knows. I knew that. Like every time you get a CD, is like, oh my gosh, everything sounds like Chris Tomlin.
And so there's this big joke about it, right? That everything is Chris Tomlin, and like it's like we lived in that era for a while, and so then you have something new coming out. And I kind of stopped listening to like hip hop and rap for a little bit because it was more of my sister's thing, I think. And because it's not that I don't like it. I think I'm gravitating more towards it now. But it was just like this whole thing, and then you hear something different. And I think that's what secular music was for me. That was the draw, was this is different.
They're willing to try to push the boundaries or limit.
Yeah.
But that is to say, because I don't know too much of the underground Christian hip hop, because I brought this up to a friend that's really into hip hop, both secular and Christian, and he's like, well, you just don't know the kind of music that's out there. I only know the mainstream or popular ones, but they're, you know, they've experimented with sound. So I just didn't know so much of the underground. But going back to, you know, sounds and experimental, there's no doubt, as a producer, Kanye, that's why I like him as an artist, because he evolves with sounds.
I think that's that's really his gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second thing I like about hip hop I shared is they share their story. It's not so much what I love about Jesus is King and Donda, because it's not a praise and worship album. It's not gospel, you know. Some of them might be considered, but you know, it's just really fusion. But what I do like about it, as a Jesus follower, as a believer, it really reflects a person's life and faith. When he shares, you know, you see a little bit about that in him. Sometimes in any art, it could be a persona, but sometimes it could be really what you're feeling. You're writing down your thoughts and your feelings at the time. That's also why I like Tupac, you know, especially his early ones. Later on, it could be a persona, right? But there's a lot of songs that is just explaining to you. And as a Christian, like listening to Kanye or any artist is like, hey, they're being real. It's not all about like, hey, I go to church, I worship, everything is good, you know, catering to the Christian. Is like, this is my life, raw and real. Like, I have questions, I have down times, this is almost like reading Psalms with David. When you read Psalms in David, you're like,
he's happy, he's sad.
He's happy, he's sad. He's like, God, where are you? But in the end, he's like, God, I still love you. When you see people on social media, Christians, sometimes it's like, oh yeah, every day is a good day. You know, like, is it really behind closed doors? I can't say to that, but I know I've been a place where you almost feel like forced to be like, put on your Sunday's best and not let anybody know what's going on. Where Kanye is like, yeah, I'm going to say this because that's what I'm thinking. And people are like, man, that's so wrong. It is wrong. But he is just expressing how he feels, and that's where he's at. He's not being somebody else. And what I do love, when you really listen to his discography, and this is where people on the Kanye forums or subreddits were like, hey, you know, I don't like this Jesus face. Kanye has always talked about Jesus since the college dropout. He's just different places of his walk. And if you look behind the scenes and the interviews, he always going back and forth where he is in faith. And I feel like that's a reflection of us. Like, he's totally in a different space right now. And then he also faces a lot of things that Christians go to. Like, are you really a Christian? You know, all that judgment. We don't know. I don't know Kanye. Everybody, that's a thing about celebrities. Everybody has an opinion about that. But putting yourself in that shoes is like, oh, that's true. When you walk a different way, people are going to judge you. People are going to question your faith, but how do you keep strong? And do you still believe what you believe? And definitely Donda was a huge improvement from Jesus is King from a sound perspective. And it was amazing because then it started an era of bringing in, you started seeing that overlap of secular and Christian. And even today with, I don't know, does Justin Bieber have who's the artist that start singing out of faith?
Justin Bieber is one of them. He's expressing faith. There's several more, and I just,
because I remember when Kanye first came out with Jesus King, and it's not like it hasn't been done before, but he did reach, you know, a lot of sales on that. I think he just showed it, like, you know, is bold enough to be like, hey, I'm going to do this. I don't care what people think. That's how Kanye is, right? And, you know, it kind of opened the doors like, hey, maybe it's okay to talk about faith. Like, it's not going to kill my career to go against industry, you know? And what's interesting, even in some of the recording sessions that didn't make it to there was a lot of projects, and people that follow different hip hop artists know there's a lot of scrap projects. But there was even an Eminem one, like Eminem also spoke about, on a remix of Use This Gospel, right? And so it's just, you see a lot of people, and it's like, I've never heard Eminem talk about his faith. Like, it's opening of those. I knew behind the scenes, Justin Bieber was there. There was no song that was released with Justin Bieber and Kanye. But, you start seeing people like share, like it's okay to share about faith. Even, this is controversial and down that some people are not in that same space with you don't know where they're at. I mean, they had Marilyn Manson on there, Jay-Z, The Weeknd, but really it's like, in terms of sound, production, and talent, with words and connecting and stories, not in a different way than praise and worship, in a different way than Christian rap. And it's just refreshing just to see something I feel like people can relate to.
Yeah. So, and I know like nowadays there's a lot of Christian artists that are firm in their beliefs that are penetrating to the secular side.
Going the other way.
And it's going the other way. You look at like Forrest Frank. I've never seen so many people, dance to one of his his songs. And it was like, oh, like people that I would have never thought. And it was like, wow, like a lot of people are like celebrating this or, like using his music. Does
Forrest Frank, because I'm calling it in my head, is it more like feel good, upbeat, or does he mention Jesus in his songs?
He does mention Jesus in his songs. Yes.
But I guess it's not as heavy. That's why
it's not as heavy.
That's why people listen to it. I mean,
like it is. It's very light, but it's But
he still mentions Jesus.
Yes, and it's a lot of it's his stories too. I look at even just all these recent like cross collaborations that he's did like since he broke his back.
Yeah.
And just that progression of it's like he's also bringing in some of that that rawness too of
not like Switchfoot. Switchfoot is they're Christians. I think
they're more on the like alternative.
Yeah, and they were in California because it's not a new thing to cross over to secular. It's kind of like you listen to your music, it's coded. You're like, oh, I know that, but it doesn't explicitly say Jesus, right? And I know they grew up in the church. I think Calvary. They're from Calvary Chapel, maybe. I don't know. California.
I don't know.
But like, yeah, you can see that like, Skillet. I don't know, because we went to a concert and they always talk about their faith. But then I was like, there's a lot of people, just like how we listen to secular music. There's people that aren't Christian that are there that can enjoy that. And it's kind of interesting how music is. So going back to following people and music and things. So going back to Kanye, I stopped following Kanye.
I feel like then this is like more like a Kanye podcast right now. No. Or segment.
But, there is things that, they do have influence on how we live, how we think, right? And basically it's hard to think like what is good, what is bad? Is your convictions, basically, is it honoring God, basically? And so if there's things that aren't, the Bible says things about like crude jokes. It says things about temptations and, especially with like, your body is a temple and, those types of things, drunkenness, sexual immorality and things like that. So really, who do you follow and who do you stop? And you felt those convictions to kind of stop. And even for me now, because I haven't really thought about it, it's about intentionality. Is like, what do I listen to? That is a great way to start your day, is praise and worship, right? Creating that environment. Sound is music is so important. We are at our computers, we have our headphones, Our kitchen has speakers, like two Google Max speakers on the top, so it just fills the room.
Yeah.
Really, it's a great way, like worship, and worship doesn't have to be music. You can worship in your work, worship thing, but worship in terms of music. Worship is a spiritual discipline. There's prayer, there's worship, there's reading the word, there's fellowship, right? Music can be, a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And what you listen to can start filling your day more with that and replacing. If you can find something, it could be an easy substitute, right?
Yeah. So what kind of music are you looking to add to your playlist now? It can be, genres or like the types, like you're looking for a Kanye equivalent or whatever it is.
I don't know, because I did that like about a year and a half ago, right? Because we went to a wedding and I started hearing music, and there was a lot of the hip hop scene in Africa, like Africa, different countries. I forget which countries in Africa. I'd like to say Ghana, but it might be the country that's next to Ghana. But anyways, there's a lot of African hip hop that sounds different. They have a certain thing, and secular music actually gets that sound from that region too. And you can we're so blessed with worldwide type things that you can get different sounds,
Right.
like that. And then I just rely on you to find some things. Whatever you hear in the music in the morning, I'm like, oh, this song is nice. But yeah, definitely something that kind of fills your life, right? Because if your life, the music, the movies, the social media, what is the messaging? And subconsciously, it just changes, right? And especially if you know your word, people incorporate that maybe subtly or not so subtly in their music.
Yeah.
And that's like you're memorizing the word of God. That's the sword, right? That's part of the armor of God.
Yeah. And to that, I think that I've, because of some of those, rap, hip hop, like other songs, like worship songs, like that's how I know some of those things are in the Bible, like because they're quoting Bible, just like straight up Bible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and you're singing it, and it just does something to your, your spirit and your mind. It's like your mind is being rewired, in a different way when you're worshiping God through the songs that you're singing, and it's everything just points back to Him and His goodness.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So
I had fun. I like this topic.
yeah, music.
So, yeah. But if you guys have any recommendations,
let us know. And I like this because I can just express myself. I think I was just, I think doing more of these podcasts makes me feel more, the more I express myself, the more I find out, hey, there's people like me, there's more accepted. Before I wanted to be like, so, I don't really express myself because I'm afraid like, oh, maybe they don't like that. And there's a lot of people that express a view like, ooh, you like that? Oh, I didn't see you like that. So I'm like, well, what do you see me as? Maybe I'll be that person. But no, I mean, that's the truth. That's what I listen to. That's how I am. That's what I like. And, I know, for some people that are hip hop heads, they're like, ooh, that's so low, like, why don't you listen to some Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole, which I do listen to a couple, but I know what I like. It's okay. It's like food. You don't have to, not everything has to be, gourmet. So we'd love to hear your thoughts about music, and we'll see you guys next time.
bye.